Yes, we made it, everybody, to week 18 in the National Football League. It's been quite a week, as we all know, with Damar Hamlin being obviously in the news all week. And just as the week has gone on, we've been getting better and better news. And I have to tell you guys, I mean, obviously, we're all pulling for him. And I have to say, I feel like we can do these picks this week now, knowing that he's doing a lot better. Makes it feel a lot better because, as you all know, a little behind the scenes here, folks, as of Thursday morning, it didn't look like we were even going to do the picks this week just because we didn't know the direction the league was going in. But as the news has come out every day, and we cannot say enough great things about the people there at the medical center, it's just been quite the week as we get set here for week 18 in the National Football League.
For sure. And honestly, I'm so thankful that Damar Hamlin is making the kind of recovery, the kind of progress that he has been making. I know it's been stressful when it comes to week 18 and the playoffs and fantasy about what the league was going to do, how we were struggling for updates. But obviously, the main concern was that man's health. And I'm going to take the words of somebody because obviously, since it's week 18 and we're doing the picks together based on this last minute thing, Nick and I kind of went on about that when we were doing ETB and the reason we weren't going to do the rapid rundown. Um, I'm going to take the words of somebody from NFL Network. I forget who it was when I was watching it because obviously, we'll be talking about the playoff scenarios and the stuff that the league came up with. You know, as much crap as maybe that we give Goodell, as much crap as we maybe are going to say, about how ridiculous some of these scenarios sounds, like this coin toss about the Ravens and Bengals or a neutral site. Somebody was always going to be left unhappy, and as this person said, this is not a normal situation. This is something unprecedented. And as I just said before, the main concern was that young man's health. And now that we see that he is slowly but surely making progress, that ultimately ended at the end of the day, it's what's most important.
Yeah, health is the only thing that matters at this point. No one really cared about the game once the game was canceled. Um, we forget about people who make dumb opinions about this, and we move on and we worry about the situation at hand, which is the health and not the football game. The football game could have always been made up. We all know it was canceled and it's a no contest at this point, but the game could have always been made up at a different time.
Yeah, absolutely. And the NFL did announce on Friday a series of activations in support for Damar Hamlin for this weekend. So the Bills will wear royal Nike T-shirts displaying love for Damar 3 for pregame warmups. Bills business staff will wear number 3 lapel pins. The Bills players will also wear number 3 jersey patches for their game against the Patriots at Highmark Stadium. The number 3 in each 30-yard line number on the field will be outlined in Buffalo Bills blue. And there will be a lot more. So just really just an unbelievable week. I mean, I know we use that word a lot loosely, but this truly was a week that, is hard to put into words. But all we can say is a great job by the medical staff and the first responders there in Cincinnati that really saved his life. I mean, it's really can't be much more straightforward than that. But
And sorry, Johnny, here's just hoping that we never have to deal with a situation like this again for a long time, if ever again.
Absolutely, Tom. And you know what? They were saying that they practice in the preseason that exact situation. And you know what? It came in very handily there on Monday night. So it's good to see that he's doing better. And at least on a lighter note, we can look forward to week 18 in the National Football League. Now, we're also going to do this week, we're also going to pick the national championship game that's happening on Monday night in college football between TCU and Georgia, since we were obviously not able to really touch on that because of the breaking news this week. But week 18, getting ready to go. Nick and Tom, I know you guys over there on Empty the Bench, I think you're deadlocked going into week 18 in terms of your picks, right?
Correct.
You didn't
So
expect it to go that way.
No,
no,
absolutely.
so I was 7-4-4 with the 1-no contest last week. Nick was 8-4-3 with the 1-no contest. However, I did hit my lock as the Giants obliterated the Colts in week 17. And so we entered this week 141.5 to 141.5. It all comes down to this.
And Hank and I are only separated by 4 games in our picks, and I don't want to really talk about our record last week because it was
We're
bad.
in the red.
We were in the red. We
As
were
red as this,
very
Church.
unlucky, Hank, on a bunch of our picks last week. But that's just been the kind of year it's been.
Wait, you're
But-
not talking about the Vikings, are you?
No, I think the Vikings are more in the red than we are. I will say that. The only difference is, though, the Vikings are way over 500 and are NFC North champions. Hank and I, though, are champions no matter what our record is, and so are all of us in what's been a very difficult league to figure out this year. But let's get it going here for Week 18 in the National Football League.
Hang on, Johnny. Hang on. Since it's Week 18 and we have all the different talks about playoff seeds and whatnot, I have a friend.
Oh, the playoff predictor.
There it is, the playoff machine. I love it.
All right, so where are we going first?
Well, we're going to get it going with some Saturday afternoon football at Allegiant Stadium, Nick.
Oh.
It's a Steve Levy, Louis Riddick, Dan Orlovsky, Laura Rutledge special on ESPN as the Kansas City Chiefs take on Jared Stidham and the Las Vegas Raiders. And Nick, we'll start with you. The Chiefs are an 8.5-point favorite.
The Raiders are a dumpster fire. Their quarterback situation is a mess. Derek Carr is AWOL, but we essentially know he's going to be gone. He's going to be released or he's going to be traded. I heard a certain team that I like might be involved in that trade situation, but who knows if that actually comes to be. This is really obvious, in my opinion. Chiefs 8.5. I take that cover easily.
So no repeat of last week for Stidham.
No, I think that was a one-off. This is not like Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy going on with the Niners. I think Stidham is a one-off, and I think the Raiders are going to go after another quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah, see, I think this game could be a shootout, and if that's the case, you don't want to be playing a shootout against Patrick Mahomes, something we've documented a lot in his career. And also, there is seating on the line for the Kansas City Chiefs in this spot. So when I look at that and the Raiders playing a ton of backups on their defense, I think the Chiefs win by at least 9 points. So I will take Kansas City to win and cover in game number 1.
I will bring back the playoff machine as time goes on, so that way none of us are getting, bottom shafted, by our little banners and such. But yes, Johnny, you did mention playoff seating on the line. Now, the NFL is understandably going with the winning percentage and talking about, okay, if the Chiefs and Bills, who both could have been number 1 seed, or Bengals and Chiefs or something like that, are going to be playing in the AFC Championship, we do have a neutral site game possibility. We just don't know what the neutral site would be. However, the reason I bring that up is because if the Chiefs win based on the winning percentage and the tiebreakers and such, it would not matter what happens to the Bills on Sunday. The Chiefs would be your AFC number 1 seed. And kind of like what Nick and Johnny, you both were saying, Raiders, bit of a dumpster fire. Credit to Jarrett Stidham for a hell of a performance last week. He really is, showcased some good stuff, had a really strong effort. But come on, it's the Kansas City Chiefs. This one is easy. Take the money. The road to the Super Bowl in the AFC yet again will be running through Kansas City, through Arrowhead.
And Hank?
I have a sneaky suspicion that the Raiders might actually cover this.
Oh,
What?
Doesn't mean I think they're going to win. I think the Chiefs are still going to win, but it's going to be closer than it should be. Give me the Chiefs, but Raiders to cover.
I think Hank makes a good point because this game kind of has a feeling of last week again. I mean, the Chiefs I think will win, but if Stidham was able to do it against San Francisco, he certainly could provide an encore against Kansas City.
We'll see about that.
But the thing is, if it goes to become a shootout, I think Kansas City is more favorable in that spot. Maybe not to cover, but they will win the game. But Hank's going to be the lone wolf, at least taking the Raiders plus the points. But we're all in agreement that Kansas City is going to win in game number 1. Hank, for the AFC South, it's a Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Lisa Salter special on ESPN as the Tennessee Titans take on your Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars are a 6.5-point favorite.
You know what? That spread, on the other hand, I can kind of get behind, even if I sort of feel a little worried about that, considering it's a win and in-game. That being said, come on. I think I'm going to go with the hot hand. The Titans' collapse will be complete. Mike Vrabel will be out of a job. And more importantly, Trevor Lawrence is him. Give me the Jags.
That's right.
I mean,
that's why he's his Jaguars. Yep.
I mean, that's pretty obvious. I kind of agree with Hank that the Titans are in a downfall. The Titans are like a stock that you can't control. Like they were up for the first half of the season. Now they're on the way down the second half of the season. Their quarterback situation is a dump. I mean, how many times can you pass it to the running back or direct snap to the running back? A million times. You can't do it. I mean, and like Hank said, Trevor Lawrence is him, and I can't believe I'm saying that. Yeah, take the money. Mike Vrabel's going to lose his job.
Yeah, very simply, guys. You take the team with the better coach and the better quarterback. Give me Doug Peterson and Trevor Lawrence to win and cover. The only way I could see Tennessee doing this is if Derrick Henry's going to run for north of 200 yards. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to do that. It looks like you might be getting some guys back there for Tennessee, but this offensive line's a disaster. And what you're doing also is you're asking Josh Dobbs to do the impossible in this spot, I feel like. And I know Derrick Henry's great, but let's also not discount Travis Etienne there at Jacksonville. The whole Clemson connection with Lawrence and Etienne is a big thing here too. So with that matchup, and I'm laying less than a touchdown, give me the Jags to win and cover and win the AFC South.
What did I say, guys? So several weeks back, I was talking about how bad the Titans were. The Titans had just fired a general manager. And I said, Vrabel's a good coach, but I mean, he has played a role in this downfall, and the Titans have continued to just hit the downfall button. Josh Dobbs really is starting again this week in a must-win matchup against Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne. Well, ETB supports ETN. And
wow,
we talk about how he is him with Lawrence. I think not only has the Jacksonville and Doug Peterson made any sort of wonders and puts Peterson in consideration to be above Vrabel, but Jacksonville, and I think I said it several weeks ago, but they just continue to showcase how bad Urban Meyer was last season, because look how much they have transformed Trevor Lawrence. They wasted that first year on him, and now all of a sudden he's looking like a stud. Doug Peterson really has done a great job with turning this franchise around. They have all the momentum in the world. There is no question. I said it when they were joking about Derrick Henry sitting last week. It's like, oh, Derrick Henry and Mike Vrabel don't care about your fantasy team. And I said, yeah, well, I won't care when I pick the Jacksonville Jaguars week 18. And guess what? I am living up to that. And Mike Vrabel, come that next day on Black Monday, we'll be hearing a few certain, it's two certain words from a certain somebody who's now back in the picture at WWE. Take the money.
We should have known the fantasy angle into all of that. Absolutely. But now I'm really rooting for Jacksonville because I want to see that banner on the next episode of Empty the Bench, ETB for ETN. I love that. But
that's actually good.
I like that. So they got to win though. Otherwise that banner is going to have to wait until next season.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a clean sweep then. Unless Nick, did I get yours in this?
Yeah. Jaguars.
Okay. So it's a clean sweep to wrap up the Saturday slate of games here. Jason Benetti, Matt Millen, Megan O'Leary special on the NFL on Fox. It's an NFC South matchup that doesn't mean anything, but it's the Carolina Panthers and Sam Darnold taking on Andy Dalton and the New Orleans Saints, and the Saints are laying 3.5 at home, Tom.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yep.
Oh.
And I would like to apply that.
Wait, which one?
Yes. I understand the Saints are the home team, but I mean, and I understand we have our issues with the Panthers, but I mean, come on. This Saints team has been horrible. I understand they're the home team, but I don't know. this week is going to have its little weird moments, and there are some lines in here that I question. You know what? As much as Vegas might be wanting me to pick the upset, how much that might be a trap, you know what? Don't bet on this matchup. But if you really are forced to, I'm going to go upset city. I'm just going to take Carolina. This game means nothing.
Well, that extra half a point might help. Nick?
No, I'm on the same track. The Saints have been bad all year. Their situation's a mess. Andy Dalton is I used to like him as a quarterback. Now I don't know what to think of him, really.
I don't think it's much Andy Dalton's fault. I think it's the team around him. And I mean, my God, I know Alvin Kamara had a nice game last week, but talk about somebody who has under-delivered this year.
His season's been a dumpster fire. He might be in jail for all we know next season. Yeah, I'm on the same track. Upset City with the Panthers.
Hank?
Can I join that train too?
Yeah.
More and merrier.
With the Panthers.
Can I join that train?
It's more of a who do I somehow not trust less, if that even makes sense.
I got to get that for next season. I got to get a train sound effect. That would have been good.
Well, I'm gonna jump off the train, and I'm gonna be the lone wolf this week. I'm gonna take the Saints to win and cover in this spot. Let's look at New Orleans here the last 2 weeks, guys. They've actually played pretty well. Look what they did last week up against the Eagles. Their defense is playing better, and I think it's going to show here as Carolina plays a second straight road game with little to play for after being eliminated last week. And this is somebody who was high on Carolina too. But the Saints have played better here these last couple of weeks against the Browns, and we saw it last week against the Eagles. I think it continues here, and they are night and day, home and away, and now they're home. I know the hook is going to be the scary thing for me in this one, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the lone wolf here. So give me the Saints -3.5 in the Superdome to win and cover against the Panthers.
All right. Well, I don't think the money sound effects are appropriate here. We got 3 guys going with Upset City, 1 being the lone wolf. The closest sound effect I have to that is this one.
Well, we'll see if that sound effect plays here. Let's go to Nick. Nick, it's an Adam Amin, Mark Schlereth, Christina Pink special on Fox. Another NFC South matchup here as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Atlanta Falcons. And this will be an interesting line here as the Falcons are laying 4 at home.
Question. Is part of that because are there any reports about any Buccaneers, including one certain quarterback, going to be resting this week?
Well, so Tom Brady wants to play. That's what's being reported. And
He's not going to play the full game, though. I don't think.
No, and Todd Bowles is saying that everyone's going to play, but the thing is how much. I mean, that's going to come up a couple of times this week. We could even be looking at a possible Kyle Trask sighting there for Tampa Bay.
Has he ever played a down or anything?
I doubt it. It's probably been a practice team.
In the NFL, I don't think he has. But Nick, what do you think here as the Falcons are 4-point favorites?
Excuse me. There's really no spoiler or anything here, right? I mean, the Buccaneers have won the division.
They're going to be stuck at the 4th seed because they're going to be the lowest division winner.
Right. But I also think the Buccaneers have nothing to play for, so I think the Falcons might step it up here, and it's in Atlanta. I mean, they haven't had a horrible season. They've had a decent season. Everyone thought they were going to be like the number 1 overall pick, but you know what? I'm going to take the Falcons. Take the money. I think the Bucs have nothing to play for this week. So, oops. So I think that's where we're going to be. Take the money.
I'm going to take Tampa plus the 4 in this spot, guys, because even if the Buccaneers starters don't finish their game, their backups actually might be more talented than some of the Falcons starters in this spot. And I think this Bucs defense is going to be a nightmare for Desmond Ridder. So games like this are hard to pick. But, Falcons laying more than a field goal, I don't think they should be heavily favored like that against anybody. So give me Tampa Bay plus the 4. And even if the Falcons win by field goal, that'll be a good enough win. So that's what I'm going to roll with. Give me Tampa plus 4. And to answer your question, Kyle Trask has not taken a single snap yet as a pro.
Well, that might change this weekend.
Yep. Tom, what do you think?
Are you going to go to me?
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Nick and I have to have some differences if we're going to determine a champion this year for our thing. So you know what? I mean, I want to believe that Brady will at least play a half. And like you said, that Bucks defense may prove to be a little bit of a nightmare for Desmond Ritter, although credit to Desmond Ritter, he has been trying to put in the effort, but the team around him just doesn't really deliver. So I'll go with the upset special in this one. Give me the Bucks.
And Hank.
I like this game means much.
No,
Oh
it doesn't.
man, this is this game could really be anything. It could even be a mystery box. So let me flip a coin. Okay, I'm going with the Falcons.
All
Yeah.
right, so 2-2, one from each show in Atlanta. Spiro Ditas, Jay Feely on the NFL on CBS, Hank. It's the Houston Texans and Indianapolis Colts. And the Colts, 2.5-point favorites.
I don't think the Colts are even going to. The Colts had that one win with Jeff Saturday. That was their moment of glory. They haven't done anything since. Texans, this might as well. Actually, I don't know that I'd call it their
Hold
Super
on
Bowl.
a
Their
second.
Super Bowl.
So we don't have playoff scenario, but we've got something interesting.
Oh no.
If the Texans win and the Bears lose to the Vikings, the Bears take the number 1 overall pick away from Houston.
Wow.
You know what? Chaos. Give me the Texans.
Yeah. All right.
You know what that means? That means that Lovie Smith's going to coach his team out of the number 1 pick.
Yep.
And I'm going to do it. I'm also taking the Texans plus the 2.5 here, upset special. Colts have gone you realize the Colts went 21 straight drives without a touchdown before a garbage time score by Sam Ehlinger last week. And
Sam Ehlinger is a joke.
well, he's starting for the Colts on Sunday against the Texans.
Why do I feel like he's going to get cut and end up on some other random team? I feel like he is.
Indy's going to be looking for a quarterback in the draft this year.
Hey,
You mean
Colts.
they're not going to go after a veteran?
Hey, Colts, stay away from the veteran quarterback. It doesn't work.
No. Well,
Hey, Colts, just
So
blow it up. Your ship has sailed.
Hey,
yeah.
Colts, I have the perfect sound effect that summarizes your team right now.
I mean, here's another thing too. Which one of these two teams actually has a worse point differential on the season?
Oh,
I think
have
it's
no.
Colts.
It's probably the Colts.
It's Indy. That's right.
Yeah, I'm taking Texans 2.5. I'm usually very stingy when it comes to these spreads. I'm taking them 2.5.
That's what's so tricky about Week 18. And Tom, close it out. What do you think?
Give me upset special, and I agree.
Yeah.
Lovie Smith coaches his team out of the number 1 overall pick.
There we go. So it's going to be a
considering-
clean. Oh, sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
And considering what might happen, all these potential, rumors about the draft, about Bears and Raiders maybe trading, the Texans might be coaching themselves out of their choice of quarterback in this upcoming class.
Well, see, the thing is, though, so let's say if the Bears do get the number 1 overall pick, they're not going to draft a QB. So the only thing you would have to worry about is if there's going to be a team that's actually going to trade up.
Saying Las Vegas might be that team.
Yeah, I mean that's the see. I mean, we're looking at the lines of the likes of Bryce Young, CJ Stroud. I mean, I know there's a couple of other guys too, which we'll get into in the off season, but that will be the thing to watch here. So it's going to be a clean sweep for all of us on the upset special with Houston plus 2.5 against Indy. Well,
Wow, that's 2 this week with upset special sweeps.
And just think we are just getting started, folks. Well, speaking of the battle for the number 1 overall pick, it's a Kenny Albert, Jonathan Vilma, Shannon Spake special on Fox as those Chicago Bears with Nathan Peterman. They are
Peter
home.
meme.
Yes, are home to face the Minnesota Vikings, and the Bears are getting 8 points at home. Nick.
Well, first of all, I mean, that has to be played every time Nathan Peterman touches a football to start a game. I mean, I know the Vikings have had a -point differential. I get it. And the Vikings had a bad game last week, but yeah, this is against the Bears. I think they barely cover. I'm going to take the money.
Barely. I see what you did there.
Good one, Nick. I like that. All right, Hank, what do you got?
As tempted as I am to say the Bears cover with Peter meme, nah, give me the Vikings.
All right, Tom, what do you got?
All right.
Don't do what I think you're about to do.
What do you think I'm about to do?
You're not going to take the Bears in the plus, are you?
Let me explain. So no, what I'm just gonna do is I'm gonna explain the playoff scenario. So the Vikings actually fell to the number 3 seed because they managed to lose in Green Bay. San Fran wins, so they need San Fran to lose. Otherwise, it's going to be Vikings versus Giants once again in Minnesota.
Wow.
But no. Not only am I not going to take the Bears, but considering it might be Giants versus Vikings, I have a good feeling. I've been tempted. It's between this and another game, but that other game might just be because of certain somebody. But no, it's not. It's not. I'm going to pick the Bears. Go the opposite.
I didn't think you were going to do that.
Lock me up. Those Vikings take the money.
Damn. First off, like I mentioned on Game On Tuesday, if it's Giants Vikings, I would love that matchup for the Giants. I think it's a favorable spot for them if it ends up being like that. But we'll worry about that if it actually happens. As far as this game goes, yeah, I just don't think there's any way here the Bears even cover. Their defense is getting pushed around, and Justin Fields' absence, I think, removes any chance of them putting up a fight in this one. The only 2-score win by the Vikings this year, guys, was in Week 1, and I think they do cover. So, yeah, this is going to be a clean sweep for us. Vikings win and cover. But at the same time, guys, the Vikings will still finish the season in the red.
Well, how many games have they had as a one possession score or less?
It's the far majority of them this year.
But also, you can't even talk about the possibility of them resting any starters because you have the number 2 seed still on the line, and they're not playing in the same window as the team they're competing with, the number 2 seed. The 49ers aren't going to play until the 4/25 window.
Yeah, see, I don't, and Tom and I have talked about this on the last episode of ETV. I don't understand why they separated the windows with a bunch of the playoff scenarios. Like when we get to the Lions and the Seahawks, those are in separate windows.
I'll talk about that when we get to that point. But I think for this, as far as this goes, Nick, I mean, I think it was less about the fact that because now the Vikings are out of the contention for the number 1 seed. The 49ers still have some outside shot at the number 1 seed, so I guess they were more concerned about that. And here, I think, like with this matchup and the last matchup we talked about, that's about the number 1 overall pick. I think that's why those 2 games got put with the number 1, in the 1 o'clock slot, and the 49ers Cardinals game was left out of it because the 49ers still have a chance. So they put the 49ers game with the 2 NFC East matchups at 4 o'clock.
All right. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, also, San Francisco's home. You're not going to play a game there at 10 a.m. Eastern.
That's true. That is true.
That's it, too. So, clean sweep for all of us. But like I said, Vikings will win and cover. They still finish the season in the red unless they win this game by more than 19 points, which I guess is still possible because at the end of the day, it is Nathan Peterman for the Bears. Greg Gumbel, Adam Archuleta, AJ Ross special on CBS. Hank, the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson take on Kenny Pickett and the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Steelers at Aquashore Stadium laying 2.5.
If the Steelers lose this game, they are out. If they win, they will need the Dolphins and Patriots to both lose to make the playoffs. The scene is set.
Steelers gone to Super Bowl. No, but seriously, give me the Steelers. Like, you really think I'm going to pick the Browns at this point?
No, I wouldn't. Yeah, the Browns, even though the Browns have been competitive,
Nick and I have the same level of disdain for the Browns.
yeah, Steelers.
Yeah, let me just give credit where credit is due. Nick and I disagreed last week about Deshaun Watson versus Carson Wentz, and Nick nailed that one. I totally botched that. But in terms of this matchup, Pittsburgh's playing their best ball of the season right now. They're playing in a way that the Browns have not played for most of the season. I'm taking Pittsburgh to win and cover and keep their season alive.
Tom?
Yeah, I mean, Deshaun definitely looked good last week, but you know what? I mean, he's still, it's one good game. Who knows? By the time they face the Steelers, there still could be that rust, and the Steelers are going to have the home field. I would feel a little disgusted if the Browns, as bad as the Steelers have played, even if you argue they don't deserve the number 7 seed, I would actually feel pretty terrible if the Browns ended the Steelers season in this way. I got to give credit to Kenny Pickett. How, that last week was the drive of his rookie season, leading the Steelers to upset the Ravens and basically ruin the Ravens' chance at the AFC North. And you know what? Continue that momentum. Give me the Steelers. I'm taking the money.
Yeah, I'm wondering that 3-touchdown game by Deshaun last week was a mirage, because some of that game also he was still making some sluggish decisions against the Commanders. So I don't really know if that was really a mirage or if that was legitimate. But against a good Steelers defense too, this will be a good test for him as well. So it's going to be a clean sweep for all of us. Steelers win and cover, keep their season alive at Aquashore Stadium. Joe Davis, Daryl Moose Johnston, Pam Oliver special on the NFL and Fox. And boy, this is a special. It is Joe Flacco and the New York Jets taking on Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins. Nick, your Jets are getting 2.5 points in this one.
Hold on a
Wow.
minute. Wait a minute. This
Well-
quarterback at Flacco versus Skylar Thompson.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad they didn't go back to Zach Wilson. That was the only thing I was hoping they didn't do. Now, I think he's inactive, right? He's not even.
No, he's the
The arm punt.
So Zach Wilson is going to be the backup in this game because Mike White, it was announced that he's still dealing with 4 broken ribs. So he is out, and no, Chris Streveler is not an option.
Oh, come on.
I know.
See-
I put in the group chat, I wanted a Chris Streveler versus Skylar Thompson.
You know what that means, right? As soon as Flacco throws a pick, you're going to see Zach Wilson in this game. That's what's going to happen. When they're down 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, Zach Wilson will be in the game. And I heard a bunch of analysis. Everyone say, well, you should start Zach Wilson because you're trying to see if he can play and be a starter. And let's get this through everyone's thick skulls, okay? Zach Wilson should never be on this team anymore. He should never be a starter anymore. This guy can't handle New York, and his ass should be out the door. Okay? The Dolphins are going to win this game. I don't care who's starting for Miami. Take the money. I'm telling you, as a Jet fan, take the money. It's the most obvious pick of the week. Take the money.
Shots fired! Shots fired!
So I'm going to take the Jets in an upset special because I trust Joe Flacco more than Skylar Thompson. So that being said, give me the Jets 9 and the Dolphins 6.
So I'm actually going to agree with Johnny, but not on the basis of quarterback. Nick, all criticism of Zach Wilson aside, your team still has an incredible defense. And I think that defense is going to prove to be a nightmare for Skylar Thompson. And the Dolphins, their momentum is sinking, just like we made the comparison to the Titans, how the Titans were sinking. And yeah, how they handled Tua with the concussion protocol is going to cost the Dolphins a playoff spot and is going to get most of the training staff, if not all of them, fired at the end of the season. Give me the upset.
Wow.
All right, Hank, what do you think about this one?
Oh boy. Skylar Thompson versus the arm punt. Exactly what I was looking forward to seeing.
Yeah, how do you weigh this one on a scale?
I am going to go with Miami to win this game.
Thank
I know.
God.
Yeah. Were you that worried I was going to take the Jets? Yeah, no. I think Miami wins, but it's going to be like, Johnny, I'm going to one up you and say 12-9.
12-9. Okay, that's good enough. A 3-point win for Miami is a cover. So,
I'll take a field goal win at this point.
hey, game of field goals. That's what it's going to be. So it'll be a split decision down
Or
there.
back and forth arm punting.
Oh, man. So it will be a split decision down there in Miami. Well, this is going to be something to watch up in Buffalo with the New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills, with Jim Nantz, Tony Romo, and Tracy Wolfson on the NFL on CBS. The Buffalo Bills laying 7.5 points at home. I'll try and make this very, very simple because it's going to be a very emotional game, guys. I'll go first. Damar Hamlin strong. Bills by 3 and 3. Bills by 33. Take them to winning cover.
Oh, God. I was like, wait a minute. 3
and 3. 33. Buffalo wins and covers against the Patriots.
I mean, yeah, this is my lock right here. Because I think
the other game I was thinking of using the lock.
Because I think the Bills have a lot of momentum. I think the Bills have a lot to play for. Now that Hamlin is healthy without the breathing tube, being able to breathe, having full use of extremities, I think they're going to come out tough and they're going to play aggressive. They have a lot to play for. Take the money, and this is my lock by far. I think they beat up the Patriots.
So I'm going to go. So even though I can't use this as my lock because I've made the lock already, I'm going to go one step further. After what we saw this past week and everything with Hamlin, I think the Bills are a Super Bowl favorite, and I think they're going to ride the momentum of what's happened with Damar Hamlin to the Buffalo Bills' first Super Bowl championship.
Whoa!
Wow.
I honestly think that. But as far as this game goes, even if the Kansas City Chiefs win and take the number 1 seed, I seriously cannot think, after what's happened this past week, any chance of resting, especially when the Bengals are still in contention for the number 2. So therefore, I think the Bills play out. They murder the Patriots. Take the money. Give me madness. No 3 or 4 AFC East teams. The Steelers make the playoffs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I like it. All right, Hank, close us out here.
Yeah, given all that has happened to the Buffalo Bills and given the inspiration that they'll probably be playing with, I don't see them losing that one. Give me Buffalo.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a clean sweep up in Buffalo. It's going to be quite the sight to see there on Sunday. And Mac Jones is going to be in for a very, very long afternoon for the Patriots. Kevin Harlan, Trent Green, Melanie Collins special on the NFL and CBS. It's no Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, as it looks like it's going to be Tyler Huntley going to Cincinnati to take on Joe Burrow and the Bengals. And the Bengals, Hank and Indictor, they are, well, let's go to Tom because, don't disrespect his Bengals. His Bengals are laying 9 points.
So, gentlemen, we have a very interesting scenario on our hands. Now, because they are going with, they declared the Bills-Bengals game a no contest. It will not be made up at any point, and they are going with winning percentage, like how they would in MLB if 2 teams played different amount of games. The Bengals are locked as the AFC North champions. However, what's going to be interesting is if the Ravens win this game, depending on what happens in the first game of the 425 window we're going to be talking about involving the Los Angeles Chargers, if it ends up with the Bengals as the 3 seed and the Ravens as the 6, a coin toss will determine who has home field advantage in a Ravens versus Bengals wild card weekend game.
Wow.
I mean, granted, you could have just said, you should have just taken care of business on Sunday Night Football. But
Right.
It's going to be the most interesting, way for the NFL to have the interest of fairness. That being said, gentlemen,
I see
the
what you did there,
Ravens
Tom.
secondary constantly blowing leads this season,
Oh no.
losing a game to the Steelers. The Bengals aren't going to rest their players because everyone's playing at the same 1 o'clock window like the Bills, so that they're not going to rest their guys. And they're riding some momentum, being affected by what happened on Monday night too. Don't forget, you saw all the scenes of them hugging the Bills players and whatnot. And Joe Burrow versus Tyler Huntley, really? Don't disrespect the Bengals. Take the money. Point was not needed.
There you go. See, I there was twofold of that. There was the disrespect, and I heard what you said there with the interest of fairness. I knew where you're going with that. So Cincinnati minus the 9. All right, Hank.
Yep. Hold on. Sorry about my yawn.
Well, you are tired of the Ravens, so it makes sense.
Yes, I am tired of the Ravens because every year we hear about them with all that talent, but yet partially because I'm not sold on Lamar. Partially it's because I'm not sold on Lamar Jackson. Partially it's because they can't hold leads. They're gonna lose out on that division, not a division that they deserve. The MVP, one of the MVP candidates should be Joe Burrow. I will die on that hill. Give me the Bengals.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite obvious in my opinion, even though 9 points shouldn't be quite obvious. Bengals, Joe Burrow, like I said with Hank the past couple weeks, I think if he wins, I think you seriously got to consider him as an MVP candidate, even though Patrick Mahomes is probably running away with it and will probably end up being the MVP.
I don't think you can discount Josh Allen either, though.
I just think the Ravens are in trouble. And I'll even go one step further. I think that Lamar Jackson's going to hold out in the offseason. I think he's going to hold out in the offseason. I think the Ravens are going to be the story of the offseason. But I'd take the Bengals here to cover.
Nick, I actually agree. I think Lamar, they're probably going to franchise tag him, but I think he will hold out and request a trade, essentially. I don't see him as the quarterback in Baltimore in 2023.
So that is going to be a big storyline in the offseason. Yeah, as far as this game goes, guys, I'm in total agreement with all of you because, yeah, the Ravens might have the better defense, but the Bengals are the more complete offense. They are explosive there. I think they win this game by at least 10 points. Clean sweep in Cincinnati in this big AFC matchup. Tom, do you want me to intro it or do you want the floor?
I think I would like the floor for this one, gentlemen. I think I have something I need to play.
Oh no!
At this point.
It's that time.
Let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country. Let's ride.
It's time, gentlemen. I like to call this one the faces of misery.
You know.
Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country. Let's ride.
All right, gentlemen, let's ride.
Oh, that's one of the things that sucks about being week 18 is that's the last time we get to see that. I think what we have to do is when we get out of here, I think we need to end with that. We need to say goodbye and just leave with that because we won't get that for unfortunately another 8 months.
Wilson very angry and the fans hiding their head in shame and I Nathaniel Hackett.
Well, see, this is an interest. Now, speaking of interesting lines, and Tom, you had brought this up with the previous Raven game, that if Baltimore loses in this early window, then it does lock up the number 5 seed for the Chargers, and that could be why the Broncos are laying 3 points at Empower Field at Mile High. By the way, it's an Andrew James Aditi special there on the NFL on CBS. Tom, 3-point favorite for the Broncos. What do you think?
3-point favorite for the Broncos? I mean, I want to say no. But here's the thing, like we just talked about. If the Bengals win that game, then that's going to lock up the 5 seed for the Chargers. Los Angeles is going to go to, basically, we think it's going to be Jacksonville. But regardless, it would be the Jacksonville versus Tennessee winner. And if that's the case, does Staley rest Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler and all of them? I can't do it. I can't constantly make these videos and then go and select the Broncos.
Yeah, you can't. You
I
can't.
can't.
I mean, this is a joke. If Vegas is trying to push you here, they're not doing a good job of it.
Well, I think this is because Brandon Staley has indicated that he will sit his players, and that you would imagine it would be Herbert, Derwin James, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, possibly. Now I know Bosa's coming back from an injury, but so Tom's taking the Chargers +3.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll tell you. I mean, this is a line that's almost begging you to take the Chargers. So you know what I'm going to do?
Take the Broncos.
I'm going to take the Chargers.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Broncos, and like I always say for the season, Broncos country, let's ride. Wait, not.
No, Broncos country, let's ride to hell.
That's happened since week 1 against the Seahawks. And
I mean, this is so obvious. Chargers +3. The Broncos haven't won a game when they've been favored this year.
bad cover though last week. Just saying. Another one of our bad losses. Just saying. All right, Hank, close us out on this one. What do you think?
I mean, come on, 3? Is that? I don't even. I think that's way too small of a spread. Give me the Chargers. Easy money.
There we go. So, and off we ride into sunset. Another $8. So it's going to be another upset special, clean sweep over there at Empower Field at Mile High.
There's no empowering going on over there.
Now,
one word.
If you want to put one more nugget on this game real quick, guys, if the Broncos do win this game, it'll actually hurt the Seahawks draft pick that they do have in that Russell Wilson trade. So that may be
you're saying that you're saying that like they're capable of actually winning a game, which every now and again they can, but
if the thing is, if the Chargers do rest a lot of those guys, I mean it could be possible, but I'm still not gonna do it.
But Johnny, would it not be the perfect ending to the Broncos season if they lost to the Chargers backups?
Hey, look what they did against the Rams. 51 points to Baker Mayfield and who?
Exactly.
It's a good point.
Oh, it's just been that kind of year to watch there at Empower Field. It's a Chris Myers, Robert Smith, Jen Hale special on the NFL on Fox. Let's go out to the NFC West. David Blau and the Arizona Cardinals take on Brock Purdy and the 49ers. And Hank, the 49ers, a 2-touchdown favorite.
I mean, again, Niners, Cardinals. I don't even know if that spread's big enough. That's how good the 49ers are. And you guys know where I stand with them. Give me San Francisco.
So, Tom, just to steal your thunder for a second, the 49ers need this win to possibly have a chance for the top seed in the NFC. And you know what? The 49ers defense, it was bad last week against the Raiders, but this is a bad Cardinals offense. And I think, isn't DeAndre Hopkins out again possibly in this one?
Yes, he is.
He is. Yeah.
I mean, this has 35-10 written all over it, and the only question is going to be how are the Cardinals going to get to 10? So give me San Fran minus the 14 to win and cover at Levi.
Yeah, I mean, usually when we look at 14-point spreads, we usually are afraid of them. This one I'm not afraid of. This one's very. I give you. I'm about to say a 14-point spread is easy. Take the money.
Just looking at the playoff scenarios, by the way, guys. So the opportunity for the road to the Super Bowl for the NFC to go through San Fran, it would have to take a win by the 49ers here and a loss to the Eagles. Even if the Cowboys were to win the NFC East, supposedly based on tiebreakers, the 49ers would take it. So it is going to have to be up to the 49ers to win this game. And obviously, if they win, they can't fall any lower than the 2. And they probably will have to play all their guys anyway, because if the Vikings beat the Bears, as we think, then the number 2 seed will be on the line in this matchup. At any point, just give me the 49ers. You really think with no Kyler or no DeAndre, this Cardinals team has a chance?
They may not score.
There you go.
Possibility. They may
Especially
not.
hey, you know what? 49ers defense might be pissed after the way they played last week in Vegas. So great way to take it out on a bad offense. It's going to be a long day there for David Blau against the Niners. Nick, it's a Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson, Aaron Andrews, Tom Rinaldi special on the NFL on Fox. In the NFC East, we've got Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys taking on Sam Howell and the Washington Commanders.
Tom, is there any playoff scenario in this?
Yes.
Yes,
So
there is.
the Eagles and Cowboys are separated by a game. However, the Cowboys did they compete? I know they beat the Eagles recently. Did they beat the Eagles twice this season? No.
No.
They lost that when they were on the road team.
Let me see the Eagles
So,
Cowboys.
Tom, I can tell you,
could be wrong, though.
if they win and the Eagles lose, then the Cowboys will win the NFC East.
I was gonna say, don't the Cowboys have the tiebreaker of the Eagles?
Yes. And
So
that
the
would go on
Cowboys need a win. So the Cowboys
Yeah.
would need a win here, and the Eagles would need a loss for the Cowboys to click. Okay.
I mean, the Commanders are a dump. The Commanders are an absolute dump. Whether it's Carson Wentz or Sam Howell, they're a dump. Take the money in the Cowboys.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on this because let's also remember too, Dallas is playing with a few extra days of rest in this spot too, which I think which will help even if Dak decides to throw another interception or two in this one. Washington's struggling on offense no matter who's playing here. We all know about the Cowboy defense in this spot. I'm going to take Dallas minus the 7 to win and cover at Washington.
I am going to do the same. Like you said, Washington is an absolute dumpster fire. And really, Ron Rivera, you didn't know that you could have been eliminated last week and you started Carson Wentz over Taylor Heinicke. Absolute. I think, honestly, as much as I like Ron Rivera for that decision alone, he also could be gone on Black Monday.
I don't think he gets fired, though, because of the whole ownership situation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think unless Dan Snyder sells sooner rather than later, which I think any NFL fan should hope, though, even though personally as a division rival, I can't say I feel any sympathy for that franchise. Yeah, I don't disagree. And yeah, give me the Cowboys.
So there we go. So it's a clean sweep over there at FedEx Field. Well, Hank, we ended with you there, and we'll start with you here. It's Ian Eagle, Charles Davis, and Evan Washburn on the NFL on CBS. It's our New York Football Giants taking on the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are a 14-point favorite.
Wait,
and now the
Eagles
interesting question. Sorry, guys. The interesting question here is with the Giants locked into the number 6. Are people like Saquon and Daniel Jones and are they going to actually play?
So I think that they're going to play some. I don't think they'll play the full game, but they will definitely get some reps in this one.
First half.
Yeah, see, the thing is, that's one of the big things with the Giants that was being talked about this week, but I don't think there's any possible way that you can not play everybody. So everybody's going to have to play at some point. I mean, it may be a quarter, it may be a half, but they will get some reps in this one for sure.
Wait, so the Eagles are favored by 14. I wish we had the soundbite of Jaguar Gator 9. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah, this line's ridiculous.
Look, I think the Giants will. I don't know if they're going to go all out with their starters, but at the very least, I think their defense should have a better time, especially with the loss of Lane Johnson. I think that is going to hurt the Eagles much more than people realize because you know what I say about the value of a really good offensive lineman. Give me the Giants to cover. I'm not going to say they win it. I think maybe they give the Eagles a scare, but the Eagles still end up winning. But give me the Giants to cover.
Yeah, just a shameless plug here. I need everybody to go back and watch episode 37 of Game On because Hank made that point, and that is such a good point, and it's not talked about enough. But there's also a few reasons here too other reasons why I am absolutely going to grab the Giants plus the 14 in this spot. If Jalen Hurts plays, and it looks like he's trending towards playing Sunday, right? We don't know how effective he's going to be, how rusty he's going to be, or how much he's going to play because we don't really know how serious that shoulder injury, that collar, whatever it is. And like I said, if the Giants are going to rest players, and again, you can't rest every single player. So guys are going to play, they will play and they will make a factor. The Eagles are struggling right now down the stretch here. So yeah, they could win this game, but by 14 points, I don't see it. It could even be 10 points, and that's still good enough. So Giants plus the 14 is the play for at least Hank and myself for sure.
Yeah, I'm on the train with this one. I don't think the Eagles are going to be as good without Lane Johnson. I think that's a massive injury. A lot of the analysts were saying that it's going to be tough for the running backs. It's going to be tough to protect Hurts if he plays. I don't know if he's going to play. Yeah, Giants plus 14.
Now with Lane Johnson basically being out. Now, guys, is it just for the one game, or is he done?
I
No,
think
he's done for the year.
Oh yeah, I thought I heard he might be done for the year.
Okay, so it's a might be done for the year. Yeah, no, Lane Johnson, that's going to be brutal. I know we, Nick, you and I have been talking about the real possibility that what we've seen with this Eagles team and the fact that they lost to the Saints and lost to the Cowboys, that this team is beatable. And that there's a real possibility if it's something like Eagles Minnesota or Eagles San Fran, the Eagles might lose those matchups.
Well, no, first of all,
Especially at San Fran.
First of all, I think no one's beating San Fran right now. I think San Fran is just on a roll. So
I agree with you. It looks like it might be a Bills San Fran Super Bowl, in my honest opinion.
yeah.
That being said, since I'm talking about the beetle, obviously the Giants locking in as the 6th seed don't really have anything to play for. I mean, maybe it's a little bit to play spoiler on the Eagles, but really no. I mean, the Eagles are still one of the better teams in football, granted without Lane Johnson and everybody around them getting, better, like the Bills having momentum, the 49ers having momentum. That being said, I'm still with you guys in that I'm going to take the Giants on the plus points. The Eagles will still win, however, and the Eagles will take the NFC East.
So
If you're the Cowboys, I mean, that's not too bad because I understandably that means the road to the Super Bowl for the NFC will go through Philadelphia, but like we said, for how long? And for the Cowboys, I mean, you get the consolation prize of you have to travel to Tampa Bay, but considering how that team is, I don't think that's too much of a worry.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that so fast.
Unless big playoff Tom shows up.
You know what's funny though? This kind of reminds me of the last couple of years when everyone said the Titans were one of the better teams in football, but then they just totally were a dumpster fire when it came to the playoffs. It's the same situation with the Eagles, it feels like, where they have an injured quarterback like the Titans did, and they just couldn't win. They just were not good enough, even though they were over the top as a 1 seed. That's how I see that situation playing out.
Well, we'll find out. This is going to be a very interesting spot, and I'll say this as a Giants fan. It'll be nice to just sit back and relax and watch some football and not be stressed out or anything. You just hope everybody makes it through healthy. That's the big thing. But it's a big spot there for Philadelphia here on Sunday. Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez, Laura Oakman special on the NFL on Fox. It is the Los Angeles Rams with Baker Mayfield taking on Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks. And Nick Morgasen, the Seahawks are a 6-point home favorite.
As much as I've said the Seahawks have run out of gas, and I've been on that train for at least 3 to 4 weeks now, the Rams are worse. The Rams are a worse team. I would hope Geno Smith would win this game at home, but that might be asking a lot. Yeah, I mean, it's 6 points. It's a touchdown game. I think the Rams are just really bad. I'm going to take the money, and hopefully that keeps them in the race, maybe to make the playoffs.
All right. Shall I talk about the race before we get into any more picks?
Yeah.
This is a very interesting dynamic because this is what you were talking about before, Nick. So, as a result, and you guys have, if you have followed me on Twitter, you guys have known that what I have talked about it because I think you even tweeted on the ET Boy Sports account. I think what happened was the NFL was hoping that the Ravens would win last week to force a Ravens-Bengals game on Sunday night. And when the Steelers pulled off the upset, on top of course, that next day, the Damar Hamlin thing happening, that ruined the NFL's plans. You had interesting takes about what could be the Sunday night game. They put the Titans-Jaguars, winner take all. You would think maybe that would be the Sunday night game, but I guess the possibility of the Titans winning and being an 8-9 team Yeah, nobody really wants either of those two teams on a Sunday night. They would rather a bigger, sexier team name. I know there was a rumor about Giants Eagles, potentially being in there. But then we considered about what was happening with, the Giants players like we were just discussing. And you know what came into my head? 2 seasons ago when the Eagles were pulling their guys and basically cost the Giants a playoff spot. So in this case, like they went with the Lions and Packers because how it's going to work is if the Seahawks win this game, the Lions are out. And then it would be basically win or go home just for the Packers alone. If the Rams win this game, then Sunday Night Football is winner take all. And whether it's for one side or both, just the fact that something was on the line, especially after the Ravens blew it against the Steelers, and maybe for good, and maybe for good because then what happened the next day with Damar, the the NFL needed to go to its safety net option. And its safety net option, unfortunately, was a number 7 seed in the NFC on the line. And a man who, well,
RELAX.
Good score.
so they had to. They had to go with that because it's still Aaron Rodgers. So something is on the line here. Um I would love to say Rams just for the madness and because, the narrative of the NFL might be scripted, so a winner take all game might be a thing. That being said, though, I seriously doubt it. As much as we've talked about the Seahawks running out of gas, I can't see them losing to Baker Mayfield. Give me the Seahawks taking the money and knocking out the Lions.
All right, Hank.
Interesting because you know what? I'm going to go upset special, and some might say it'll be a rambush in Seattle.
Oh, wow.
Love that.
Ugh.
And also keep in mind, historically, the Rams have upset the Seahawks a lot. So give me LA.
Wow.
So the last time these two teams played, which was at SoFi Stadium, the Seahawks did win, but that was against John Wolford and the Rams. So now it's against Baker Mayfield. But the reason why I'm going to take Seattle is because their defense played very well last week against the Jets, and I think that's going to carry over here. That Rams offense, look, that 51 points that they put up against the Broncos, I think was a fluke. This Rams offense struggled against the Chargers last week. I think Geno Smith's going to have another good day, and Kenneth Walker III is running well again. And I think that helps. And Al Woods' return helping to that Seahawks defense. And I'm laying less than a touchdown, and it is the 12th man. And I know that really has not been as much of a factor as it's been in years past. But I think they get it done here too. Seahawks minus the 6 to win and cover. So that means that Hank is going to be the lone wolf at Lumen Stadium there in this one. And then we wrap up Week 18 in the regular season, game number 255 with Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark on NBC for the NFC North matchup, but a big spot for the playoffs here as Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions take on Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. And Nick Morgasen, the Packers are a 5-point favorite at home.
As much as I despise Aaron Rodgers, as much as I despise everything that has gone on all season, as much as we hear all the rumors that he could retire or he could end up on another team, personally, I said he could get traded to the Raiders and end up with Devontae Adams again. He's big game Aaron. I mean, he wins games when necessary. How can you not take the money in this situation against the Lions? I mean, it's at home at Lambeau. He plays big games. I hate it, but I'm taking the money.
Hank, I know you've been high on the Lions this year. Do you think they've got one more in them?
Unfortunately, this is where their magic ride ends. When the Packers go on a hot streak in December, there's no counting them out.
All right, Tom, what do you think?
I really want to do it. I really want to say the Lions, but here's what I'm going to say.
How can you go against the big playoff Aaron? You can't.
I know. Here's what I'm going to say.
Wait, let me
Take the money.
Let me do a thing that Tom and I usually do on Preview. Aaron Rodgers, Jared Goff. Aaron Rodgers, Jared
Listen,
Goff.
Hank, if
Listen.
you were doing that,
Ah,
Hank, if you were doing that this season, it'd be dead even because Jared Goff's played fantastic this year. So
right.
it's more than
but
just that. I think it's Lambeau Field versus neutral site. That's where you would go in this.
Exactly.
I think.
That is the problem. It's the Lambeau Field, and Johnny also, because even if the Lions are out of it, I think they would be damned if they passed on the opportunity to knock a division rival and knock Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs and give it to the Seahawks. So, but that being said, here's what I'm going to say. And this is also as somebody who, I'm a Giants fan, but with my father, everything with the Vikings, I am going to pick the Packers, but my heart is going to be with the chaos of the Lions and having the NFL camera set up on the Seahawks bus or locker room and seeing them jump around if the Lions manage to pull off the upset.
So since we're doing a crossover here, I will channel my inner ETB for this pick. This game was going to be my lock of the week.
I knew it.
But let me just also say when I picked this game earlier in the season, when this game was in Detroit, I did say the Lions were going to win that game in an upset special, and they did, 17-9. But when you look at these two teams, the Lions are still great. The Packers, though, have completely changed since their first meeting, and
I think
the way
Johnny,
they are right now. What's that, Tom?
I said, and I think Johnny, sorry, who you have to thank for that, as much as we say big playoff Aaron, I think who you have to thank for that, and credit to the running back, sure, but Christian Watson. They needed the wide receiver one, and he has developed.
And that's absolutely Christian Watson has pretty much saved the Packers season up to this point because they were getting nothing on offense, and he has come out of nowhere. I know they've got some other guys too, but this Packers offense, but it's been this Packers offense up until recently was not been the same team, but it's different now. As much as I would like to take the Lions, and even if I like to take the Lions getting 5 points to at least keep it a field goal range, I just don't think they have enough to do it here. I think Green Bay, and this is not even about the Lions. This is really more about the Packers and what they are right now. That's why I am going to take Green Bay to win and cover in this spot. And it's, again, not even a knock on the Lions. It's just I think they're getting the Packers at the wrong time. That's really what it comes down to. I know this Lions defense was ferocious against the Bears, but this is such a different step in competition here. Green Bay minus the 5 to win and cover on Sunday Night Football. Well, because we were not able to do a game 256 because of what happened on Monday Night Football, we are going to do one bonus pick this week. And since we were not able to get to it on our show Game On Tuesday, I figured, well, let's close out the season in style. So, and because we don't have a Monday Night Football game to pick, we're going to pick a Monday night game regardless. And that is going to be the national championship in college football at SoFi Stadium between the TCU Horned Frogs and the Georgia Bulldogs. And guys, it is a Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, Holly Rowe, Molly McGrath special on ESPN. Now, look, there's going to be hundreds of people because you're going to have this mega cast. I'm not going to name all the names. So
you'll be here for the next day and a half naming all the mega cast.
Absolutely. We'll be here until Monday night. We'll get you straight to kickoff. So it's a Chris Kirk, Holly Molly special on ESPN between TCU and Georgia, and the Georgia Bulldogs are a 12.5-point favorite at SoFi Stadium here. And I guess since I'm the big college football guy, I'm going to take this game here first because this matchup, to me, when you look at it, you have the Bulldogs who are known for their defense, despite the fact that they gave 41 points to Ohio State last week. But you look at TCU, guys. I mean, I've been mentioning a lot on my show, on our show, and on my Monty Moments. They've been playing playoff caliber football for weeks now to get into this spot. And I think that's really why and one of the reasons why they were able to pull off the win against Michigan last week. There was really no pressure on them. But this Georgia defense, as much as we talk about them, is nowhere near as dominant as last year's team. And that is especially true when it comes to getting after the quarterback. And Max Duggan, probably his biggest weakness is he's his own worst enemy when taking sacks. But the Georgia secondary struggles against good passing attacks. And while TCU may not have Ohio State's overall depth, I think they get enough stops to make this game very, very close. I think they're going to be able to put up enough points to make it close. I don't know if they have enough though to get it done, but I'm going to take TCU plus the 12.5 to keep it close. But I think Georgia is going to ultimately, at the end of the day, be a repeat champion.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's been on the top for a while now. No, the last repeat we had was Alabama 2011, 2012, I think was the last repeat we had.
Yeah.
Georgia's too good. What was it? TCU got which team was it that it was what was it? Georgia versus Ohio, you said?
In the semifinal was Georgia versus Ohio State.
Right. So they basically got in on a
Last minute touchdown.
a bumped field goal kick.
Yeah.
As the
And
clock
you
struck midnight on the New Year.
And you saw how Ohio State was able to move the ball on that last drive to get into field goal range with less than a minute to go.
That's a tough situation with a shanked kick to lose for Ohio State. Now,
as the clock also strikes midnight on the New Year. Happy New Year, no good.
I mean, TCU was not supposed to be here, right, Johnny? They were one of those teams. Like, they were good, but they were not supposed to be here.
They were like Cincinnati last year when you look at it, but I think this team's even better. And again, they've been playing playoff caliber football to get into the spot. I mean, they beat like sixth ranked opponents to get into this spot. I mean, they are legitimate. So, I mean, this is not like it's a Cinderella team. They are a legitimate team that can absolutely make this game very, very close.
But I think the playoff experience in any sport, whether it's a national championship or any sport you want to say, I think the experience matters. I think Georgia covers. I just think because TCU hasn't really been in this spot. So Georgia cover.
Yeah. Tom, what do you think?
So TCU, I mean, they took it, like I said in my minute when I was covering the football for that New Year's weekend. They took advantage of an absolutely miserable first half by Michigan in their semifinal matchup. And I was hoping it would be Georgia Michigan, and TCU kind of ruined that. But I mean, Michigan kind of ruined it for themselves. TCU is playing incredible, and Georgia, you're right. Georgia's defense does not look great. Georgia's defense was made nearly fools of by Ohio State. That being said, Georgia still has a strong offense. They have been, for the longest time this season, if not all this season, the undisputed number one when it comes to this sport. And TCU, and sometimes, there are those teams where it's like you can tell when the downfall is coming, or you'll root for the downfall. As much as I would like to see, maybe one day a national championship where there is no SEC team, or the SEC team gets beaten. Georgia just is too good. They have been the team of this season. I will agree with Johnny. I think TCU will make it close enough and competitive enough that it covers the 12.5. But at the end of the day, the Georgia Bulldogs will, for the first time in about a decade, be a repeat champion. We'll have a repeat champion in this sport, and it will be the Georgia Bulldogs. No money because
okay. I wasn't paying attention. Okay.
Whoops. No, that's the correct sound. Hang on.
Hank, I know you're not the biggest Scotch fan. What do you got for this one?
I have a weird feeling TCU makes this a really interesting one. It's going to come down to a touchdown, so they'll cover, but ultimately, I think Georgia is an absolute powerhouse. I don't see them losing. So shout out to my buddy Noah Dibler, and hey, hopefully you get to see a back-to-back title.
I got the sound effect to close this one out.
There we go. So Nick's actually
listen, this is a guy who waited a long time to see a lot of his teams win a championship. Now he could end up seeing his third championship.
Yeah, that's remarkable. Yeah, with the Braves as well. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah. I just think when you look at this also, so just looking at TCU's offense for a second.
Actually, because he's also a Penguins fan.
Oh, that's right. He's a Penguin fan. That's right. But here's one of the things too. The Horned Frogs, they're one of the highest scoring teams in the country. Actually, they're tied with Alabama for the fourth highest for the fourth best offense. They're averaging 41 points plus per game. They were held under 28 points just once this year. So that, with Georgia's defense nowhere being like last year, I think this is why it could be very, very close. I mean, I think Nick makes a good point though. The one thing you're going to watch for in this spot is how are these kids going to be in the national spotlight when all the attention is going to be on them now. I mean, again, they've been, the Cinderella story all season. They went into that game against Michigan. I think they were playing with house money, but that was also because I think there was a lot more pressure also on Michigan. And we saw how Sonny Dykes just completely outcoached Jim Harbaugh in that spot. Kirby Smart is a much better coach, but at the same time, I think TCU, if there's ever a year and there's ever a team that can make this very, very interesting, it's them. They've got the guys to do it.
And granted, Michigan is, a powerhouse of a college when it comes to football. Jim Harbaugh is a hell of a coach. But as you said, there were some weaknesses with Michigan, and Jim Harbaugh doesn't have the success with the college football playoffs. So it is one thing to say Michigan is a powerhouse, but if you call Michigan a powerhouse, if you call them strong competition, Georgia's just a whole nother level.
Yeah, and the thing to watch also there too was that Blake Corum not being there for Michigan was a big, big deal as well. And also one thing we'll be probably touching on next week as well, that story that came out about the possible violations from Michigan too. So 3 out of 4 of us are going to take TCU plus the points. Nick's going to roll with Georgia, but I think we're all in agreement that Georgia's going to win, but we'll see what the margin's going to be. But that'll be something to watch. That'll be a lot of fun to watch on Monday night. Remember, that is a 7:30 p.m. Eastern kickoff. They moved the start time up a little bit. So 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 over there at SoFi Stadium. And of course, Hank and I know Nick and Tom will all react to the national championship game on our next episodes of Game On and Empty the Bench, respectively. Well, that puts a wrap on the regular season in terms of football picks. We'll find out what happens with all of our teams. And, of course, that scene up there in Buffalo, which is going to be probably the most amazing thing to watch. The most important thing is that Damar Hamlin is recovering. He's getting better with each passing day. And all we can continue to hope is the best for him. And then we can turn the slate also to watch some NFL and some college football as we wrap up the regular season 2022 style. And then next week at this time, we will have Wild Card Weekend. And, of course, we will react to it all, not only on Game On and Empty the Bench, but also here on our Football Friday shows. So, guys, I want to thank you all for being with us all season long.
Of course. And, Johnny, by the way, so that is on the playoff machine. That is the final results. Now, there is a very noticeable split, as we were very split on this Jets-Dolphins matchup. So, but really all that determines is who Buffalo would face in the opening round, whether it be Miami or the Steelers. But that basically, this is what it would look like Wild Card Weekend. We would have Kansas City and Philly with the byes. We'll have Green Bay versus San Fran if our predictions hold up. Minnesota Giants, Tampa Bay, Dallas, LA Chargers, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Cincinnati, back-to-back weeks to close the season and a wild card. And then Buffalo taking on either Miami or Pittsburgh, depending on where our split pick ends up lying.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed when I look at that is Green Bay, San Francisco in the postseason again. I mean, we've seen how Aaron Rodgers has struggled against San Fran in his postseason career. Yep. Giants getting another chance against Minnesota. And then the Dallas-Tampa Bay game, which could be very, very interesting as well. And then I'll tell you what, a Charger-Jaguar playoff game sounds weird, but that has a lot of storylines too. I mean, that all looks fantastic. I mean, I think the only game that actually might look rough would be Miami-Buffalo. If that's crazy to say, the divisional match.
If it ends up being Miami-Buffalo. Now, if it's Buffalo-Pittsburgh, obviously, I don't think the Buffalo is going to be in too much trouble there.
I don't think they're in too much trouble against either of those teams. I mean, especially if you're not getting Tua back there from Miami. It's a different run offense.
I don't think you're getting Tua back there. How do you put him back out there with another concussion issue? You can't.
I can't see it. Yeah. But we'll find out what happens here, guys. I mean, it's the final week of the regular season, so cherish it all. And, of course, Damar Hamlin, we're still thinking of you, and it's so great that you're getting better with each passing day. So, for Nick Morgasen, Tom Albano, Hank Indictor, I'm Johnny Montalbano. Everybody enjoy your football weekend, and Hank and I will catch you again on Tuesday, Nick and Tom on Wednesday, and then back here for our Football Friday picks for Wild Card Weekend next week.
Now, hold on. I think we need to end. I want to say we promised to end on something.
That's right.
Let's give the people what they want.
We couldn't
leave everybody.
That's right. We couldn't leave you with something like this because we won't be able to see this again for another 8 months. So take it all in, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Let's ride.
Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride. Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, Broncos country, let's ride.